So today we're joined by Yolanda Stokes and HAJJAH CORBIN from the South Ward Strong Culture Spot. United Park says one's origins go back to 3 park groups and a garden: Friends of Jesse Allen Park, Friends of Nat Turner Park, the Mildred Helms Park Resurrection Committee, and Ujima Garden. So we, from those origins, have become a place where advocates for open space in Newark can learn from each other, share information, and advocate for those spaces, not just parks and gardens, but playgrounds and other special places like the Culture Spot. HAJJAH CORBIN and Yolanda Stokes are the quiet power that is the community group of folks who've come together to activate the Culture Spot. They are 2 dynamic women who lead quietly but strongly, and who may not say a whole lot, but who accomplish a lot with the community. So they give true meaning to serving the community and bringing what they have and using it for the benefit of the community. So today, thanks to the magic of technology, they don't have to be out in the rain showing us around virtually. Too bad that they couldn't be outside, at least today. Our initial plan was that they would be there and kind of show us around from their screens. It's a beautiful place, but we can still look at photos and hear from them today, again, thanks to the wonders of technology. So I'm glad that we didn't have to just cancel this because of the weather, so we can still be together and share this experience. So having said that, I will turn the meeting over to HAJJAH CORBIN and Yolanda Stokes from the South Ward Strong Culture Spot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yolanda is going to get us started. She's going to help us understand the foundation and how South Ward Strong and South Ward Strong and South Ward environmental and wellness space got started. And then we're going to present a slide presentation so that you can get a virtual experience of what happens at the Culture Spot. So my colleague and my mentor, Yolanda Stokes, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda Stokes, and I am a community ambassador. I also am a national community advocate, and I always tell people, like, I know all the urban farmers in Newark, but I'm not a farmer. Like but I happenstance, I know all of them. So the Culture Spot. First, I'd like to say, sometimes we tend to forget, Richard Wheaton chose the Culture Spot for us to do a community cleanup. He was part of the South Ward Promise Neighborhood Advisory Board, and at one of the meetings that we were discussing, we needed to get into the community and do, like, show up, other than how we were showing up at that time. So that's initially how the Culture Spot, at that time it was called the Rodney Gilbert space. So yeah, we recently, and we did the cleanup, and it turned out really nice. And as time went on, I read an article that referred to the spot as a dump site. After all that work we just did there, what they mean dump site? So I cut the article out the paper and I went and showed it to a couple of people, like, how dare they call that a dump site? That's not a dump site. But to the neighborhood, that's how they looked at it. It was a place where addicts would go, and different people would go to get high and do whatever they would do. And I call it like a parklet. It was like, if we cared for that space, what it could become, because I know I used to go to New York a lot, And we used to walk up on little spaces like that, and they would have jazz going. They would have like a little book, like books, you know, for you could purchase, or they were giving books away. And, you know, it was just a lot of little things going on in that space. So later on, I was approached by my director of where I work at, which is Southport Promise Neighborhood, and asked me if I could put a team together and we would adopt, it started like we would adopt that space as part of the Adopt a Lot program and start to work on cultivating it, bringing it, you know, what was the vision going to be? And our vision was that neighborhood, local people would come to see this space as a place they can come, go and chill out. They wouldn't have to drive. They wouldn't have to catch the bus. You know, like they could just walk down the street and have entertainment, you know, right there on their own block. That goes back to part of the neighborhood piece. And so I started to assemble a team. And one of the first people that came out of mind was DENA. Like, oh, I know that, you know, because I was trying to look for people who I know, whatever they do, they're committed. And that was whether I was part of it or not. So that's who I went after, you know, to recruit people that had different expertise, you know, like one of them, like her expertise, she doesn't tell any people, but her expertise is water, like quality of water. And a couple of other people who do entertainment and different things. So we put a nice team together. It's about 11 of us. And then we started to learn about grants. Like, oh, you know, you could get, you know, you can get a, you know, possibly winning a grant. Like, you don't just get the money, like you have to apply, and there was the steps that needed to be taken. And so we have a benefactor, someone's like, oh, okay, well, we'll support you guys. And you know, so it went on from there. And we all from the heart, like, love the space. Like the space was, and the space is not, it's not too much where it becomes overwhelming. It's like you know how you have the right space and with the right vision, what it could look like. Because we're now even on a national level. Because I am a part of a fellowship with the Community Progress out of DC. And they came and they loved the spot. They photographed it and they put it in their national book last year at the convention. I opened the book, I was like, oh, the cultural spot. Oh, I was so happy. You know, like I wasn't expecting that. Like they didn't tell us like what they were going to be doing. You just open it up and the different cities had. So our space is nationally known. And DENA is wonderful. DENA, her love for planting plants. I had a moment last year where she and I was in the garden doing a walkabout, and the plants, they were vibrant, right? Now, fast forward a week later, she would call me, Yolanda, we need water, we need water. And so then when I went back with her to visit, my heart, like it touched my heart, because you could literally see that the plants were dying for lack of water. And like a light bulb went off in my head, like, oh, wow, like this is very real. You know, never mind, oh, I know all the urban farmers and blah, blah, blah. I really felt something to heart. And if I could just give them the water, like we were watering them, we had a water barrel there. But I'm just saying about that natural rain, if I could give it to them, I would, because, you know, I was looking at life, and then, you know, a week earlier, I was looking at life, and now I'm looking at death, like what, close to death. Thank God we did get some rain and they propped back up, but that was like very real for me when you're talking about gardening, agriculture, you know, the life, and, you know, like what it takes for them to sprout up and grow the way we want them to. I've learned about native plants. I mean, like DENA, like she has really elevated my knowledge. with the planting, and that's what we hope to do in the community. Like, even though they're building up a lot of housing and stuff around there, around Chadwick and Hawthorne Avenue now, and there's soon to be more housing, going up. And that little space, if someone can just, when they get off the bus and go right there and find a little moment of peace before they go home, to whatever their home situation is about, that's my joy. Or if they are a tough nut to crack, but we've been slowly making inroads, because they started to come out on their porch and they would look at us, and some of the seniors, we was on the days that we had food at the events, we would send them plates like, okay, we see you. That's our goal, is to continue to grow that space, and where it becomes known as the place, one of the places in the South Ward to come to. Like, if you have no money, you need to do something with your children, come on down. We're a family. We're gonna make sure your children have some type of activity. They let them run around. One of our signature events that I love is when we do the Harvest Fest. So I had an image in my mind of what it would look like. So, we got all these moving parts, moving pieces, and you hoping that, like, you want it to work out. So our first Harvest Fest, I had to leave and go pick up some stuff but when I came back, like a half an hour later, and I was driving up and the sun was out, and I saw seniors, I saw middle age, I saw toddler stage, I saw, like the tweens, it was like about 75 people, all in that space. And then we had the vegetable tables and the bread tables and the food tables, so we served food. If I could have took that was like a Kodak moment, but I was driving, of what that space was, what we intended for that space to be like. Yes, that was a moment. And I just said, thank you, Lord. This is what my vision for this space was, or our vision, because it's, like I said, it's 11 of us. And our vision for that space was where people would come get fresh produce, books. We have a book nook there, where different organizations can come set up their tent, inform the community about what they offer. It was so beautiful. And I wasn't, because like I said, I was driving up, and when I pulled in, I'm like, wow, like that was a true wow moment. So I'm going to hand it over to DENA, DENA. And she says that I'm her mentor, but she's my mentor too.
Thank you so much. I am overjoyed and overwhelmed. I don't know why I'm getting this echo. Hopefully it'll go away. Yes, there's certain people, and I'm not going to give names, but when they ask me to do something, I just can't say that. And Yolanda Stokes, I'll give one name, is one of them. So to be able to come back into the culture spot, and set up this pollinator garden that I envisioned and she envisioned, was a wonderful opportunity. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen, and we're going to get into the space. Can everybody see? Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the South Ward Culture Spot, an environmental and wellness space. And as Yolanda said, it's just a space where we want people to come and feel welcomed and feel a part of their community. And it's located at the 239 Hawthorne Avenue. And sometimes when we put information out, we like to say the corner of Chadwick and Hawthorne Avenue, because if we're, sometimes people expect this building instead of this beautiful outdoor space. So we like to tell people that. And then we're sponsored by the South Ward Promise neighborhood. I'm going to take you to the very beginning. Let's see. Why isn't it advancing? Oh, I might have to. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is what it looked like in the very beginning. Well, I didn't have the other pictures, but this space right here, which is where the pollinator garden is, was this sunken lot, this sunken space. It was just full of debris, and we had to build it up. So we put in, you know, more debris to kind of like build it up, and then we put in sand, and then on top of that we put soil, and this is a compost. And what I did when I looked at this space, you know, people ask me, well, when you design a pollinator garden or when you design a garden, do you have a layout map? No, I don't. It's really all in my head. So when I looked at this space, I saw circles. I saw a big circle here. So that's what we did. We continued to make circles, and we have we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 learning spaces. And then this space right here, this space here is where you can come into the center. And this is where sometimes we'll hold classes. This is our vegetable garden, beautiful raised beds that were put in, you know, at the very, like 3 years ago. So this project is what, 3 years old now, right, Yolanda? This is our year 3. So
Yes.
So the pollinator garden started with the love of me having just seen butterflies throughout my childhood, and taking a course as through the Master Gardeners, and realizing that pollen or native plants are very, very important to the decline in the pollinator population, like our bees or butterflies or, you know, other beneficial insects, even some of our birds or hummingbirds, you know, but things like that. So I wanted to have a space where we could educate our community about the importance of having pollinator gardens and not needing a whole bunch of space to put them in. So this is the milkweed plant, which is the only plant that the monarch butterfly lays their eggs on. And it's really interesting because a lot of the children will come back when we have our Harvest Fest in October. Our classes start in June, and you can ask any child that has been to our garden space, what is the only plant that the monarch butterfly lays its eggs on? And they'll tell you the milkweed, and they'll be able to tell you about the life cycle, and they'll be able to talk about what's happening in the culture spot, as well as, what's happening in the pollinator garden, as well as what's happening in the vegetable garden. And that's because of the richness of the classes that we offer. This is one of our beautiful flowers here. This is the New England aster. And you can see, if you follow this green arrow, there's a bumblebee, you know, pollinating this flower. And then this is the beautiful cardinal flower, which attracts hummingbirds. Hopefully this year we'll have some hummingbirds. Haven't had hummingbirds yet, but maybe this year we will have some. And this is our vegetable harvest: peppers, and more peppers. This was last year, I believe. Yeah, this was last year. And the kids just wanted to plant. We had peppers, the plugs of peppers, and then we had pepper seeds. And I like to do that because we want to kind of compare which one is going to grow the fastest or which one is going to grow the biggest. So we had this abundance of peppers, and the kids really experienced joy in seeing this, because pepper seeds, you know how small pepper seeds are, right? And then you get these big peppers. It was just an amazing experience for the children and myself as well. So underground, under leaves, and butterflies. So what we did here, this is the yarrow plant, and it's very beautiful. And what we did too, when we planted our pollinator garden, we started with plants that'll bloom like early spring. Like if we were there now, you would see, I think it's about 4 or 5 plants that are in bloom now. So we started to plant early spring, and then our flowers go all the way until like October. So this yarrow is just about, this was taken last year. So the yarrow is just about beginning to bloom, but this white will be there until I think maybe like the end of October. This is our milkweed, our swamp, our common milkweed. Again, we have a lot of butterflies. It's nothing more rewarding to actually teach the children and even the adults that come about the life cycle of the monarch butterfly. And then we walk over to the pollinator garden and we actually see butterflies, or this tiny, tiny, tiny butterfly egg, right, that turns into the caterpillar and then the chrysalis. And then, of course, we like to introduce worms into our garden space. So sometimes when we're digging, there are worms. The soil is pretty rich. So when we're digging, there are worms, but we also like to bring in worms because there's a whole lesson on the benefits of worms in the soil. And this is a beautiful columbine. This is right in our garden space. This is an early bloom, and it'll have its maybe another couple weeks. The columbine will go away. This is our classes. This little girl, she wanted to touch the worm and she said, if you do it, I'll do it. So I put my hand under hers, and there she is holding. This is another area. We're actually in the pollinator garden. I want to put this in here because this is my big sister, Teresa from Texas. She came and was in, part of our garden class as well. And these are all this is our worm class that we had, because we wanted to teach the children about the benefits of worms. They're not these ilky, squirmy thing. They really have a benefit. So what we did was we put the worms in their hands, and then they actually went out into the pollinator garden and the vegetable garden too, and let the worms go, and they could see them wiggling back into the earth. Yolanda was part of that class, and she participated from a distance, let's just say that. And this one is mindfulness and meditation on Wednesdays. The theme throughout the city is Wellness Wednesdays. So we have mindfulness and meditation on Wednesdays in the month, starting in July until the end of September. And then we have yoga in mindfulness and meditation. We hopefully will be starting in July, and then yoga in August. And then we have medicine movement, which is like Tai Chi and, different movements like that in August. And here we have some of our weekend activities. I think this was our talent show. And then we also have partners that come out and set up tents, and information booths. This is a sign-in sheet. You notice we had a whole bunch of people signing up for events that day. And this is the fruits of our labor. Common milkweed pods contain hundreds of seeds. It's very beautiful at the end of, like in October, when, after the monarchs have migrated, to see the pods that are left. And we don't really like to cut down the weeds, like all of the plants that you saw. All of the plants that you saw, we kind of keep up until the following spring, because we teach the children that, and then after, like in October, kind of looks really, really messy, but there's a lot of life and vibrancy going on in the garden. And we teach our children that the reason why we leave the weeds, what seems to be weeds, and the sticks and the seeds and everything, is that the birds and other insects, they winter over. And just Thursday past, we had a class there in reference to a pollinator garden, the benefits of a pollinator garden. And some of the milkweed sticks that I showed the adults that were there, you could actually see the holes in the stem of the dried milkweed where the insects actually went in, because they're hollow and they winter over. So what we do with these seeds is we harvest some of them, and we give them out to our participants or our guests during the harvest festival, and they take them in, and we give them instruction as to how to prepare them for the winter, or prepare them for the spring, because the milkweed seeds have to be what's called cold stratified, meaning that if you're not going to just leave them out in the space, and if you take them in, you have to refrigerate them for at least 2 weeks before you actually get ready to plant them. And then this is the gathering of collection, or something beautiful. And these are the different, this is like the onions, the scallions here. These are lettuces. This is our tomatoes. This is our monarch butterfly landing, and this is our milkweed project. So think back to the very first slide that I showed you, right? It was pretty bare, you know, and things have begun to grow. And it's because the community comes in and we do a planting, the kids come in and we plant and we hold classes. This was our Earth Day 23 at the Culture Spot. We had a group of 10 preschoolers come to the Culture Spot, and they were able to do arts and crafts, and they did a planting of beneficial plants for indoor air quality. And it was just a wonderful experience, a wonderful way to start off our season of 2023. And this was our Growing a Native Plant Habitat class that we had just Thursday. And what we did was we put in, what I did was I put in plants, not plants, but I put signs so that the participants can see the beauty and the simplicity in growing native plants. And it looks kind of bare, and I intentionally did it that way because we have a grant coming in from Xerxes. Xerxes was a plant, a butterfly in California that is now extinct because of the pesticides that were being used in that area because of development. And they awarded the Culture Spot 550 native plants that we're going to be coming in and actually putting in those 6 spaces that you talked about. Are we going to put in all 550? Probably not, but that's going to be a big start. And what we want to do is be able to share some of those plants with our community as well. So we really did, on Monday, Tuesday, we really did a very, what we call deep pulling and weeding so that we can prepare for the seedlings that are coming in another week or so. And this is like the setup. This is our stage. This is where we have our talent show, our jazz concert, our gospel festival, our haiku poetry. You know, we have all of these different things in this beautiful space. And this was just handouts that I gave out on Thursday. And then this one, the Culture Spot, is on display at City Hall. This was one of our very first classes. So these two, this is our Harvest Festival right here. And you see we have a lot of engagement going on in this space. This picture here was, we were talking about the vegetable garden. So you know, where there were pictures taken there. And as I said, these are on display at the Culture, at the City Hall. And then this is Flower Power. I teach a class on the benefits of, you know, just having beautiful flowers and to look at beautiful flowers and be able to start something from seed. The Flower Power really teaches the children about being patient, because some of the flowers that we put in are from seedlings, and seedlings are about maybe, you know, 3 to 4, 3 you know, inches high, and you know, they're really little. But to take them from seed, like this plant right here, which is the lantana, this is a seedling. This is primrose. This was a plant, and these I forget the name of this one, it'll come to me. This was from seed, right? Really teeny seeds. So what we did was we put them, zinnias, that's what this is. We put the zinnias, just spreaded them all over that raised bed area, and then we covered it with plastic. And they asked, and so I explained to them what was the reason. Why do you think we're covering it with plastic? And prior to that, we had a class on how seeds transgress, you know, move from one area to another. How do you just have a pile of soil, right? And then all of a sudden you have plants, you know, seedling plants growing up in them. So that was a lesson on, you know, propagation and how seeds travel. So the reason why we put the plastic over is so that no other seeds will get in that. And when we start to, when the seeds start to emerge, we will know what they look like, because we didn't really know what a seed looked like of the cosmo on the flower that was growing here. So, and this is, what is this? This is not yarrow, golden Alexander. This is beautiful golden Alexander, and it blooms just beautiful, from like mid August to like late fall. And this is just the progression of different things. This is our tomatoes. This is our flower power area, more tomatoes. These two are our herbs. We had a lot of herbs that the children were able to taste and harvest and take home, because they had actually, you know, put these in the ground and really talked, and we were able to discuss the progress that they have made, because remember, they were these little seedlings. And then again, this is the pollinating area. And this is a culture spot activity, which is Yolanda had mentioned, our Oktoberfest Fall Festival, which is really a beautiful experience. It's kind of like the culminating activity for our whole season. And we get a lot of community members out and children. I remember my son was saying, he said, Mom, it was so beautiful to see the different generations. Like we had the toddlers, like Yolanda mentioned, the teenagers, the seniors, the middle age, and everybody was engaged in an activity, and was really a beautiful experience. And then the monarchs and milkweed, this is the start. You know, this was what really put the pollinator garden in my heart, is to know that when I was a child, I used to see monarchs all over, and then, you know, coming and having Newark as my adopted home, not seeing as many, right? So all of these, this is the actual progress. Well, I should have put the seed, not the seed, but the egg of the monarch, but you know, I didn't add that when that was up in another or earlier slide. But this is the milkweed, this is the chrysalis, this is what the you know, students actually can see in their garden space on plants that they actually planted in, you know, the pollinator garden. And this is the beautiful milkweed flower. And I tell the students, you know, does the butterfly lay its egg, the flower or the leaves? And they say the leaves. And like July, we begin to do a egg search, and we gently turn the leaves over, because you know, the monarchs lay their eggs underneath, and we use little magnifying glasses, and we begin to look, and we keep an eye on those particular plants, because we know that eventually they will turn into caterpillars and eat the leaves. And I have to tell them that, you know, you may come in one day and the leaves that you planted and you think are so pretty may be gone, because that's what the caterpillar eats. That's the only leaf that the caterpillar eats. So they're fine with that. And that brings us to the end of the slide presentation. What I want to add is that, because you know, this is such a beautiful space, and we like the 11 people, and then the community is cultivating this beautiful space. I wanted to share it with other master gardeners. I wanted other master gardeners to be able to come to this space, because myself as a master gardener, I enjoyed getting my hours at Branchbrook Park. I enjoyed planting, you know, and you know, pruning the trees, but I live right down the street from Weekway Park. And I wanted to be able to have a space where I could get my master gardener hours in and around my community. So we petitioned the Master Gardeners program to have master gardeners come and get community service hours here. So any master gardener in Essex County can come to the culture spot and get their community service hours. And every year we do a presentation. So that was a big plus. There have been, you know, poets and other artists that have highlighted the culture spot, and it's just been this wonderful experience, and I'm really proud and honored to be a part of such a wonderful space. And I do remember that meeting, Mr. Richard, when they were talking about a cleanup, and you referred to this space. And you know, me being who I am, if you're talking about garden and outdoor space, we need some pollinators. We need some native plants. You can't, to me, you know, that's another reason why I stopped saying like garden, because people think you need all of this space, right, to have a garden, and you really don't. So green spaces, to take a space and put some pollinators in, or some, beautiful flowers and a bench or a space for people to sit, you can transform a community in no time. So that's my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing. Stop share. Get back so I can see everybody. And there we go. Thank you. Have any questions, comments?
No, but I applaud your work. Beautiful.
Thank you
Both
so
of you.
much.
Really, it's inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, DENA. I mean, wonderful work. And I've had the honor and pleasure of working with DENA, because last year we started the Weekly Park Gardening Club, Pollinator Garden Club. And just an absolute joy to work with DENA and see how she interacts with the kids, and also some of the other adults who stop by to learn from her. And so my question is, because it's such a wonderful place, and you, Miss Yolanda, of course, and DENA are doing some amazing work. I've been there. And as soon as you step into the place, you get this sense of peace. It's like you see the buildings around it, and all the other things that are happening, but it's like a small sanctuary. And so my question is, how can we help you, like even, I guess, I don't want to say, because develop this even more, because like Miss Yolanda said, it's perfect. Just the size, it's perfect just the way it is. But in terms of, I guess, touching other places, other neighborhoods, because you've already started at Weekwick Park, right? You're touching us in a certain way. And so how can we expand that? How can, or help you also? Not you all do the work, but also us, having hands-on interaction as well.
Okay, I know Yolanda's going to add to this. For me right now, it's just the support. When we put out our flyers, and we put out our classes that we have going on, just come in and support. Right now, we have a list of classes that are really kind of geared toward camps. So we want to be able, if you know a camp, or if you know people who homeschool their children and they need garden spaces or outdoor spaces to come to, then you can recommend, the culture spot. I'm also looking at my calendar so that we can do like pop-up classes. Like I have, there may be some people who have like homeschools, and they may not be able to make that 10 to 11 time slot, which has been our classes for 2 years on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But this year we decided to just do the Tuesdays and have classes every Tuesday. There may be a class, that may not be able to do that. So we wanted to leave the rest of the week for a pop-up. If you want to call and say, well, I have a class and, I need some outdoor space and I want to bring them to a garden and want them to experience pollinators or growing or planting, then we'll be flexible enough to do that, right? Because that's what we do. Workshops are, something that comes very easy for me to put together. And then I have the support of these amazing other 11 people who can come and help and support as well. So just offer support and get the word out that this is a place not just for, us, but for everybody. It's just a space for everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Susan,
Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me? Oh, no, now I'm echoing. Can you hear me? Oh, it's so inspiring. Thank you so much to DENA and Yolanda. I have 3 quick questions. What exactly is the size of the space? Is there square footage? Second question, is there a school nearby that has adopted it? Where are the kids coming from? And are the teachers do they facilitate that? So that's sometimes difficult because of their own work. And then is there security? There's no fencing, it seems to me, but you had young native plants. Was there any issue with kind of safety of these young natives that made it through and are flourishing?
Well, the square footage, I have no idea. I'm going to tell you straight up. I have no idea what the square footage is. I go in and I just look and see, and we put spaces down. We can get that answer for you. I can I can find out. As far as the adopting space with the school, the nearest school is, there's Hawthorne Avenue School, and then there's Belmont Runyon. Are they aware of the culture spot? I haven't personally gone up to introduce, the culture spot to them, but I know one of the drawbacks with that is that there's such a long amount of time for teachers to put in for field trips. And right now, testing is going on. So this is not an ideal time for them to actually come out into the culture spot. It is my intention for next year, because what I found is it's hard to plan to get people there when the growing season starts. It's something that we need to do, like, in September, October, November, January, even, to get them to come out into the culture spot. So one of my intentions is to really kind of hone in on that next year so that we can have students coming down to, because it's really within walking distance, I believe, with some of those schools. And your last question was?
Just safety, security, fencing. There didn't seem to be any fencing.
Oh, no, there's no fencing. And it's funny because we had, they were doing some road work there, and there was a cop that we started, he and I started talking, and he had said, why don't you fence this in? Because I was telling him sometimes, people walk through and they don't pick up after their dog and this and the other. And I just can't see that space fenced in. Fencing to me around open community spaces, it doesn't lend itself to that open community space. It doesn't lend itself to that peace that Ms. Carla was talking about, right?
Yes.
So
I would like to chime in too. It also,
they made it.
one of the things is that previously they had these big, tall boulder sticks of wood around it, and we decided that it wasn't befitting that space. It was like closed off, and you're trying to get a community to buy in. So you don't want to fence it off that says, oh, well, we're coming into your community and we're claiming this space. So it's been taking us a good little bit more than 2 years to get the neighbors to buy into what we're doing at this space. But one of the things we found out is they're looking at consistency. Are you still going to show up whether we come or not? Now, a lot of them be peeking out their windows. They be listening to the music, but they want to see. And then when we did a few roundtable discussions, that was it. Are you just going to come for whatever, excuse me, my allergies, whatever reason you're here, and then as soon as you get what you want, you're going to leave? So our goal is to keep showing up. Whether one person or two people show up, or just us, DENA and myself, you still going to see us at this space with the call, come on out, come from behind the doors. It's safe to come here. One of the things that we do notify as part of the community policing, like we do have the Newark Community Street Team stop by, and when the precinct know that we're having an event, they will have the cops ride by inconspicuously, like not in the boom, like. So one event we had, so they had the new recruits, right? So the new recruits came, and we knew we were expecting all these people to come, right? So they had the recruits go on the four corners, right? then it hit us like, oh no, they chasing our people away. Cause when you see that many like cops in the area, you think something negative is going on. So we have to like, you got like, especially in that area, you have to be very careful as to how you bring the community in. Like get them to buy into what you're doing. Like right down the street is an apartment building with a lot of kids, like a lot of kids, you know. So this year we said we were going to go there. We're going to not going to, you know, go to the management office and, you know, get, the, you know, ask them if we can address their tenants and let them know that this is a safe place. You can just walk, you know, walk down the street. Yeah. So you gotta juggle it really careful.
That's a beautiful, thank you for that story of how you are creating community with people. And I just also wondered, did you have any signs? In other words, you have these kids that are learning about native plants now. And the plants flourished, which is tricky sometimes. So did you have signs, or did people are just learning? You're just enabling people to learn with you.
Yeah, we have signage. Yeah, we have signage, and every year we kind of do different signages so that the students can engage in, you know, adding the signs to the native plant area and the vegetable garden. And then some of them that, you know, come after a while, they just know, you know, where the milkweed is, where, you know, this plant is, where that plant is. And because the plants get so tall, you can't see the signs anyhow. Like when I did the class on Thursday, the signs that you saw in the very beginning, the white ones, they were just put there just for that particular class. So I may put them back out, you know, for the classes that I hold with the students, you know, off and on, but the signs are there. It's just, it's kind of hard to see them once the plants begin to grow.
And don't forget the crab apples.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, we had the best old little small green apples. Like, and once they discovered they were edible, they were gone. Usually once they first go around, they grow back, but because of the weather conditions last year, very few grew back. But yeah, I think we might call it a crab apple day. You know, it's like the kids came and, you know, they was picking them, and I was like, okay, now that's natural. You gotta be careful, you know. Yeah.
Barbara?
So.
Yes. Dina and I have always had our connections. She's so wonderful. But the cultural center and they're wonderful people. We have a pumpkin connection, right? Every year we donate pumpkins to this cultural center. Okay. In other words, my thinking, because I've taught so many years, I think every child in the city of Newark should have a pumpkin. And so we we usually try to give away 2,000 pumpkins every year.
Wow.
And this last year it was our supplier. Our supplier was not right. It was slim pickings, right, Dina?
Yes, tight, very tight.
What, hon?
Very tight.
Yes, but Dina's always in the cultural center is always their tops on our list. Okay.
Thank you.
And
Thank
then
you.
Thank you for that. We got to get you
do-
some of the photos from the pumpkin patch.
Yes, and the other thing that they do is for pumpkins, we have a cancer prevention thing where we tie pink ribbons on the pumpkins for cancer awareness in October. So this year they came with pink ribbons, and then Dina comes with her grandchildren to tie those ribbons. Okay. So we have a lovely relationship. All right. So we partner, and that's the whole thing that makes us strong. Okay. And I came to that cultural center with my wagon, with my pumpkins, People were so gracious, so kind. You would have thought that I was their next door neighbor, that I had been there for 50 years coming. So it was absolutely exactly what they're saying. What Ms. Stokes is saying and what DENA is saying, it is not, and it takes a long time. It took where our garden is 7 years for somebody to come across the street. 7 years. And now we're putting a garden in the back and in the front. 7 years.
Wow.
So let me tell you, and our garden, they don't touch, it is a jewel. It is a gem of respect,
Mhm.
hope, love in our community. And also we built our garden because of all the racism and the redlining. And our statement is our garden can't be beautiful enough.
Yeah.
Okay, because of all of the awfulness. So anyway, kudos to you guys. I love you guys. You
Thank you so
guys are
much,
the
Barbara.
most fabulous. I love you. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, Barbara, I was thinking about when you said, when you came with the wagon with the pumpkins, and you asked me, you said, do you have a pumpkin? I was like, no, not yet. She said, well, I think you can go home and make a pumpkin pie.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I said.
You said, it looks like you can cook.
Yes.
Yeah. And every year it's something different that my grandkids want to make with those pumpkins. Last year we made pumpkin biscuit. Well, no, we made pumpkin muffins. This year we made
love
cookies. I don't know what we're going to make next year, Barbara. I have no idea.
I don't know, but I got a new source. I got a
Okay.
new source, and I'm gonna hook up with them, and I got two ways to do it this year. I don't know
Okay.
what's what. Whoever
Okay,
comes
we're there.
first. Thank you, DENA, for all you do.
Welcome. Thank you, Barbara.
Not a problem.
Are there any other questions or comments?
You can
Well,
make
one more
pumpkin soup.
Oh, they
Is
like
a-
soup. Thank you, Miss
Yeah.
Winnie. That's it. Pumpkin
Yeah, it is a great Haitian
Pumpkin
pumpkin
soup
soup.
2023.
Yeah.
Oh,
like soup too.
I think it's fantastic that you had 75 people at the Harvest Festival and all generations.
Thank you. Oh,
Wanna
yeah, we
tell
was
us-
so
tell us your
happy. Oh,
secret?
Excuse me, Susan, what was it?
we took control of our communication. When we did the first Harvest Festival, we had about 75 people. We took control of our communication. And we did the old fashioned phone calls.
Yes.
Remember, DENA? We was on that phone.
Right.
We was on the phone. We was,
to social media. So yes. And then we did, we had the street team come out and do mass, flyers. Stuff. So
Was it all day? Or Saturday morning? Saturday morning? What did you find? Work.
well, we get out there about, we say 11, but we're supposed to be set up, supposed to be 12, but we get out there, DENA and I, sometimes like around 10, because the day starts to go by really fast, but we call it showtime is really like between 1 and 3. And then at 3 is cleanup. But when the weather is nice, people linger. And so our motto is we don't leave until the last person visit leaves, because we want, as part of being safety. So we'll hang around until, and then, like I said, sometimes people, they be like, oh no, go ahead. We chilling, and that's what you want too. It's like, it's no, how could you say, no picture perfect, like boom, this gotta happen, that gotta happen. Once that person, like, we're like, okay, but we don't leave until you leave. They're like, no, we staying. So, okay, you good? Like, yeah, and if they say they good, okay, we going, because most of the time we have other events that we gotta patronize also. But yeah, we've had several events where the weather was so beautiful, and then you get that little breeze come through, and we love it when the seniors come. because a lot of people sometimes don't realize seniors don't get out.
Right.
And so, and we provide snacks. Sometimes, you know, we had this one like, oh, we need healthy snacks. Yes, we do. But sometimes seniors don't get out and they might want to just have one cookie, you know, or a little juice, like, you know, because they every day of their life is like being monitored. So, or like when we do the jazz thing, we try to set it up as if though we on the outside, but you know how you have the program and it's the intermission, and you know, like we write it up like that. All that comes into play. You know, not on a large scale, like we said, on a somewhat small scale, but and where it's doable. And it's doable whether you get donations or whether you get a grant, you know, it's doable. Like sometimes Dina, I, a couple of other committee members, you know, when we go to start going to the store, like probably starting next month, we'll pick up little snacks, you know. So, you know, if our benefactor decides that they want to provide snacks, well, we got snacks, you know. Well, we have, you know, we make sure we got water. Dina and I was carrying snacks in our cars just so we always have stuff on hand. So you start to learn like the minimum. Not saying we go out and buy, but the minimum.
Yes.
That, you know, that is needed, you know, to keep it going. We put a little table out. We raffle off gifts, you know, healthy gifts like aromatherapy. Dina has the oil, you know, her oil. She's a herbalist also. So, you know, all those things. And see, we come from the barter system too. Like, you know how to barter some things.
Yeah, excellent.
Can I just add, what an inspiring presentation from the two of you. It's energizing. It shows the infinite possibilities of what could be and what, you know, you don't need a gazillion people or a gazillion dollars to get a movement that's so impactful and important started. And I'd like to continue to learn more. And if there's ever anything I can do to be helpful, I would love to, you know, do that as a consideration, including volunteering from time to time when you need an extra set of hands or whatever. I really want to come visit you and see. So thank you for the work that both of you all are doing and leading.
Yes, ditto.
Thank you, ladies, for being our willing participants of what we're doing at the space. So we definitely will add you guys to our volunteer list.
We have a huge project coming up on June 10th. That's when the plants will be here and we can start our mass planting of the pollinators from the Xerxes Society. And people ask, well, how is it going to look? You're going to have all these plants. And what I want to do is really have the plants laid out according to size, because that's how I look at a garden space, because certain plants grow a certain height. And I just want to have them laid out on the stage, well, what the plants look like, and then trust the people that we're bringing in to plant them according to the height, right? Because and one of the things that I really appreciate about being a part of this organization is it's not always me, it's a collective. Like, I don't want to be the one to just go in and say, you put this plant here, put this plant here, put this plant here. No, the plants are going to be laid out with the height. You can decide in any of those 6 spaces what plants you want to plant there and where you want to put it based on the height. So it's going to be a very nice day. Hopefully it will not rain. And we will be doing that mass planting. So I invite each of you to come out. It's June 10th. We'll probably get there, I'll say about 10, you know, from 10 to 12, 10 to 1. I'm not quite sure at the time, but if you come at 9, 10, we'll be there.
Great.
Thank you for the invite.
You're welcome.
And thank you for the presentation. This has been really
You're
informative.
welcome, Ms. Carla. Thank you
and
for allowing me.
inspiring.
Yes, thank you.
Very, very inspiring and encouraging.
Yes. Yeah.
So Richard, I'll turn it back over to you to close the